Hey everyone, so we're diving into something pretty mind-blowing today, GPT-4, and this whole voice thing it's got going on.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff.
I mean, I knew AI was getting good with language, but actually speaking like a real person?
Right.
That's next level.
It really is.
So what's the deal? Is this as big a leap as it seems?
It really is. I think the thing that's really got people talking is how GPT-4 has gone beyond just understanding language, like actually getting what we mean. It's now mimicking how we talk, tone, even accents,
Yeah. I was skimming the article you sent, and I have to admit, I kind of glossed over that part about the accents. Irish, Russian, Indian, it can do them all.
and more, apparently.
How is that even possible?
Well, from what I gather, GPT-4 is using this huge database of voice recordings. But it's not just copying. It's breaking down what makes each accent unique, the acoustic patterns and all that.
So it's not just parroting, it's actually like understanding the sound of an Irish accent versus a Russian one.
Exactly. That's what makes it so groundbreaking.
Okay, that is way more impressive than I initially thought. And it opens up some crazy possibilities.
Right.
The article mentioned language learning, video games.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Those are kind of the obvious ones. But think bigger. We're talking about AI that can interact with us in a truly personalized way. Your language tutor could sound like they're straight from the streets of Tokyo, or every character in a video game could have a unique, authentic voice. It's about making AI feel less artificial and more, well, human.
It's like, remember back in the day when Mickey Mouse suddenly got his voice? Everything changed.
Ah,
But, and the article goes on about GPT-4 being emotionally aware, adjusting its tone based on whether you sound happy or frustrated. Is it actually feeling these emotions?
that's where it gets a little tricky.
Okay, good, because that's where I started to get a little creeped out.
It's important to remember GPT-4 isn't experiencing emotions the way we do. It's mimicking them.
Hmm.
Think of it like a really advanced chameleon, changing color to blend in.
So, not sentient AI, just really good at faking it. Got it.
For now, at least.
For now, yeah. But even just being able to mimic emotions this well, that's got to be game-changing for how we interact with tech,
I mean,
right?
think about it. Instead of getting annoyed with a customer service bot that sounds like, well, a robot,
Oh, tell me about it.
what if it could actually pick up on your frustration and change its approach?
Okay, now that would be a nice change of pace.
Right. Or imagine educational software that can sense when a student is struggling and adjust accordingly.
That's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It's like having a personal tutor who can read your mood. But, okay, I do have a question. The article mentioned something about this voice stuff not being available everywhere yet.
Yeah, that's right.
So what's the deal with that?
Well, for one thing, voice processing like this is really demanding on their systems.
So they're probably rolling it out slowly to avoid crashing everything.
Exactly. And then there's the whole legal maze of data privacy and AI regulations, which vary all over the place.
Right, can't forget about that.
OpenAI probably wants to make sure they're playing by the rules before launching globally. Speaking of missing things, did you catch that part about real-time camera analysis?
Yeah, I did.
Apparently that hasn't happened yet.
Not that I've seen.
Maybe they bit off a little more than they could chew with that one.
It's got to be insanely complicated to combine that level of visual processing with everything else GPT-4 is doing.
Imagine, hey, GPT-4, analyze my living room decor while you tell me a story about robot love. It's getting a little too Black Mirror for me.
I hear you. And speaking of pushing boundaries, the article also mentioned jailbreaking. Did you get to that part?
Oh yeah, that definitely caught my eye. So people are already trying to hack GPT-4. What are they trying to do? Make it sing opera or something?
Pretty much. Some users have figured out how to get around the limitations OpenAI put in place, unlocking features that weren't meant for public release.
Wow. So it's like a technological tug of war. OpenAI trying to play it safe, and then you've got these digital explorers seeing how far they can push things.
It's that classic tension between innovation and, well, not breaking everything.
I guess it's human nature to want to see what something can really do, especially when it comes to tech this cool.
For better or worse. I mean, it's exciting, but yeah, maybe a little unnerving too when you really think about it.
It kind of makes you wonder, like, where do we draw the line with all this? Who even gets to decide?
Seriously. And those are conversations we really need to be having right now, especially as AI keeps getting more advanced and more accessible to everyone.
Okay, so big picture, we've covered a ton about GPT-4's voice, the good, the bad, the could this be the start of a robot uprising stuff? For anyone who just wants the TLDR on this whole thing, what are the key takeaways?
I think the biggest thing to remember is that this is a really, really big deal. It's not just some small upgrade. We're talking about a completely different way of interacting with machines, AI, that can understand and talk back to us like an actual human being.
We've gone from those robotic voices you used to hear on like automated phone menus to something that could actually fool you into thinking you're talking to another person.
It's pretty wild, and that actually brings me to my next point. This is just the tip of the iceberg. What we're seeing now with GPT-4 is nothing compared to what's coming.
To buckle up.
Exactly. More natural sounding speech, wider access features we haven't even dreamed of yet. It's going to be a wild ride.
And of course, we can't forget about the ethical side of all this, which you've been great about pointing out throughout this whole conversation.
Yeah, it's important stuff. As this tech gets more powerful, as it becomes more integrated into our lives, we really have to think about the implications. How do we prevent misuse? How do we make sure it's used fairly and transparently? What happens if we create AI that's so good at being human that we can't tell the difference anymore?
It's like we're living in one of those sci-fi movies where we have to keep hitting the pause button and asking, are we really sure we want to do this? But this is real life, and the decisions we're making right now, those are the ones that will shape the future of AI. So with that in mind, if GPT-4 can already hold up its end of a conversation this well, what will AI be capable of in 5 years, 10 years? What excites you and what makes you nervous? Think about it, and we'll dive into more of these fascinating topics on our next deep dive.